All right, so I'm going to do this HershNoeie real quick before Noelle gets back. She's at the store, um, and she is getting some stuff. Noelle's going a little stir crazy, so I understand. I'm a little out of breath because I was running around doing different things, and so yeah, I'm trying to catch my breath. But anyhow, wanted to do this video because someone had asked a question, and they said, "Help! How do I fix what's going on?" Their biggest issue is, how do you stay positive when everything around us is starting to crumble? Their main issue that they're talking about is what's going on, right? So I can't read word for word because, YouTube. But their question is that I can't take much more of this. It's really depressing. How do we move forward? How do you stay positive? Et cetera, et cetera. And they go on and on and on, right? So first off, I appreciate the question. I am someone who is ultimately pretty positive, right? It's right in my eyeball. I'm pretty positive, and it takes a lot for me to be negative. That doesn't mean that just because I'm positive a lot, I don't have those moments where I'm like, oh, because I do. This person lives in the Pacific Northwest also. They mentioned that. And we have an area that is typically somewhat cloudy, a lot. Now, as we're heading more into the warmer months, that's not the case, but it's still every now and again kind of cloudy even now, and the sun comes out maybe an hour or two and goes back in, or it may stay out for half the day, but the other half is kind of cloudy and then it's nighttime. So just the cloudy gray skies is enough on any normal circumstance for people to be kind of depressed and that type of thing. But when you add in everything else that's going on, it makes things even harder because you can't go anywhere, you're cooped up inside, etc., right? Now, with that said, Noelle actually had a breakdown. She mentioned it in her driving video, but she had a breakdown yesterday as well. Noelle doesn't do good after a long period of time being, cooped up. She doesn't. Me, I could probably live in the house for 6 years and never leave the house if I didn't need to, and be totally fine. Like I'm good with that. I can adapt pretty much anywhere. Doesn't matter where it is. Pretty much I can adapt anywhere. I'm an introvert, so I don't really need to be around a lot of people. Don't like being around a lot of people. This is not a big deal to me. As long as I have food, water, shelter, clothes, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really bother me. Now, the kids, yeah, because they're kids. Noelle, yeah. Like, when she starts talking to people on video chat, or after she done the live stream, she was so energetic and happy. She's on her way, so I got to get prepared. So she was energetic and happy. Me, on the other hand, I got exhausted after we got back from driving. All the smells. I hadn't been out of the house for about 2 months. The smell of gas. Like, you smell the exhaust from cars. You can smell, like, all your senses are awakened. And it makes me think, man, every day, imagine how immune you become to smells and fumes and pollution. You know what I mean? Like, we're so used to it being in cars, it's like, ugh. And then when you're not around it, you really notice, like, ugh. But anyway, so one of the things I told Noelle, and this is something you should do, is stop being on social media so much. Social media like Facebook especially, YouTube, certain YouTube channels that talk about what's going on right now, and just the local news or national news, whatever. Because it's going to make you even more depressed. That's the first thing, is to stay away from those things. Give it a week or two of none of that. Hold on. All right, so Noelle came home. I had to help with a bunch of groceries and other stuff that she got. We're updating the pantry area, and so she went and got some stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But yeah, it keeps her busy. But anyway, getting back to what I said about negativity, one of the things I do typically is try to avoid negativity, whether it's negative comments or what have you. I have went down the rabbit hole um, during this whole situation on Facebook because you have a lot of people that are just stupid. But looking back, it's just not the wise thing to do, right? People are born in different environments, they're raised differently, they've experienced things differently. Some people have had a harder life than others, some have not experienced much. Um, so, yeah, there's so many different things that it's not worth your time. I would say a lot of the people who post stupid stuff or things that you feel are not needed, to block them. Either block them or unfriend them or whatever the case may be. But that would be the best thing going forward. I've always been, and people would say, you always need to have all types of friends. And if you don't like their opinion, then blah, 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 blah. Listen, I have people that I don't agree with half the time. I know a lot of people who I don't agree with. We have different views on many different things. And I'm still able to have a working relationship with them, right? It's about if you do it respectfully. And there's a person that I know who I don't know, like she started posting a bunch of stuff, political stuff, and then it's like people started snapping back because they're like, you're just posting nothing but negativity all the time. And this is someone who's older, 60 years old. And so people get tired of it. You know what I mean? Like there's people want to find something that's a little bit of a ray of sunshine versus just literally cloudy all the time. They want to see something different. And when you turn on the news, you hear nothing but negativity. Everything around you is just negative. So I would say the best thing to do is to definitely get off of Facebook, right? Get off of Facebook. Secondly, you have those friends that are always negative. I would unfriend them. I know that sounds harsh, but let me tell you something. Depression and anxiety are nothing to laugh at. They're nothing to gloss over. They're nothing to dismiss. You have people, and I've had a few, where I've had to just unfriend them. Because on the HershNoeie Facebook, we accept anybody, right? But if things are posted that are just not necessary, that are just stupid, I unfriend them. Because it's a headache. Now, I manage that account more so than Noelle. Noelle has her own account. And Noelle doesn't really accept anybody on hers unless she knows you, right? So our HershNoeie is for anybody. But yeah, there comes a point in time where it's like, I'm not putting up with that. So how I keep myself positive is, and I had this conversation when Noelle had her breakdown, is focus on hobbies. If you don't have a hobby, pick up one. Right now is a good time for you to focus on things that either used to excite you or things that are yet to be discovered. Find things that are going to occupy your mind and your time, because that is going to be the best thing. Find things that are challenging, step-by-step process where, okay, this week I have to, some of the things Noelle likes to do takes a while to do. So, set goals of, okay, I need to do this, do that, do this, do that, and look forward to those accomplishments, right? Because otherwise you're just going to go nuts, right? For people who are extroverts, it's a lot difficult for them. Even people who are introverts, it gets a little much being in the same place all day. Now, the good thing is, because we're in Washington State, we don't have much longer of this. I remember that list. We were like number 1 for a bit, then number 2, number 3. We dropped down to number 5. I think now we're at like number 18. There's like 16 or 17 more states ahead of us in terms of just the number. And it's sad all around, but things are getting a lot better here in Washington State. So it's not going to be too much longer probably that we have to deal with this. And I was telling Noelle, like, keep things into perspective. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have to do that. And I would say the same thing for you is to keep things into perspective. While this may be difficult to deal with, at least you're not one of the people who is sick, right? So, or worse, or people that you may not, and maybe you do, but people that you know aren't in a bad circumstance, right? So, for me, it is finding hobbies, cutting out the negativity, such as social media, the news organizations, all of them, and because people say I'll only watch independent news. Let me tell you something. I've watched a few independent news channels recently, just cause, and there's no such thing as an independent anything because you're going to be skewed still one way or the other. It's just the facts. You know what I mean? And so these independent news stations are not that independent. They still have their own angle that they like to approach. And they're just, some of them are worse than mainstream news. But if media is not your thing, cool. Avoid it. You know, we've been watching a lot of shows that were taped a year or two ago. Like because we like a lot of reality TV, and we've been watching a lot of that stuff. So do things like that. Keep your mind kind of busy. Keep your mind busy and on other things, and so that will help you. Take up some painting or art. You'd be surprised. Paint rocks. I mean, honestly, these are things you can easily find online, or if you do go into a store, these are things you can find. These are hobbies that you can do. So those types of things and learning different, because even with our pottery studio, the painting pound pottery studio, there's so many different techniques of just painting pottery. I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface of that yet. There's so many different techniques just for that. And there's other things we're looking into, but that should give you an idea that you may find your next hobby or your next business that you may go into during this time. So use this time constructively, stay away from the negativity as much as possible, block, delete people if you need to, and really use this time for self-reflection. What goals do you have in the next few years? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to do? Like focus on those types of things and things will get better. Don't just keep going around in a circle, right? Anyhow, hope that answers your concerns and questions. Make sure you join our Discord. We have a lively discussion there on various different topics. We're gaining people very slowly, but that's cool because we have a lot of folks that really and truly are seeking help and advice and different things. And so that's what I'm all about is if I can help someone, cool. I get a lot of help from a lot of people all the time anyway. So if I'm able to say something that people maybe didn't think about, or maybe to confirm their feelings or opinions or what have you, then hey, I'm all for that. But anyhow, hope you guys are doing well. Make sure you join our Discord. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.